Under the cover of darkness, any sound can be frightening. What you just heard were several vocalizations of a fox. Animal communication is rapidly becoming a growing area of focus in the scientific community. Behavior, sociology, neurology, and cognition are a few of the animal traits being studied. Animals communicate through various forms of vocalizations and displays. These serve multiple purposes, such as mating rituals, warning calls, social learning, and conveying the location of food sources. Recent studies indicate that ravens are highly intelligent animals that have the capacity for abstract thought. This trait was previously reserved for humans and possibly chimpanzees. I have personally witnessed the communication skills of the common raven in the wilderness forests of North America. Late fall, the time of harvest and plenty, a time when all animals are looking to acquire and stockpile as much food in preparation for the approaching winter. On numerous occasions, ravens have alerted me to the presence of game while in the woods. They will fly over and hover above the game animals and vocalize their position, functioning much like a drone. The raven have learned that hunters leave the remains of harvested game behind. These remains are a bounty for the ravens who actually cache food for leaner times. Much like the symbiotic relationship between the clownfish and the anemone, the raven appear to have developed a similar relationship with hunters. Other animals, such as humans and primates, communicate and cooperate in similar ways. The great apes are the smartest of all non-human primates, with orangutans and chimpanzees constantly besting monkeys and lemurs on a variety of intelligent tests, according to a study by Duke University Medical Center researchers. Having had breakfast with orangutans at the Singapore Zoo, I can attest to the intelligence exhibited and seen up close and personal in their eyes. A recent study of chimpanzees, led by psychologist Katie Slocum of the University of York, seems to support that the idea that drumming and knocking, often in association with pant hoots, is indeed a form of communication. If Sasquatch is an undiscovered species of great ape, it would not be a far stretch of the imagination to propose that they too would engage in this knocking, drumming, and vocalization behavior. Possibly as a clear warning. Come join the Quatch Trek team as we investigate and search for unidentified vocalizations and noises. First, we're going to start off by playing known sounds that exist in the wilderness. Often people discount what has been heard as these animals vocalizing. Of the animals we just heard, I've had contact with all, either in person or on my trail cameras, and I've also heard the vocalizations of 7 of the 10. I heard one vocalization near Harrison, BC, that fit none of these or any other sounds I've listened to. And I've listened to hours of sounds, and the only thing that came close was the vocalization of a gorilla and kind of a lion. All I know is it scared our First Nation guide so much that he dropped his rod and reel in the river and ran to get his binoculars from the boat. Neither he nor I had any idea what this was, and it's a sound that will stick with me forever.
On April 12, 2016, a large black-haired biped creature ran in front of a man's work van while heading to Tofino. My name is Patrick Hetu. I live on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. For a few months I had been observing an area on Highway 4 in the Kennedy River area near the west coast of Vancouver Island. This is where the sighting took place. I had heard noises like branches cracking and what sounded like rock clacking and higher pitched squealing sounds on a few occasions after this sighting. There was one incident near the end of June 2016 that was hair-raising. I stopped in one early afternoon to check the area. I just got out of my vehicle when I heard 9 consecutive loud thumps on the ground from across the highway where I stood, and it was coming from the thick woods. I couldn't see anything. The thumps reminded me of a backhoe or excavator bucket thumping on the ground. I could actually feel it. A few seconds passed and I heard an odd bark sound that sounded like a wah, a very low guttural sound. It was really deep. The first bark type sound was about 50 to 60 feet left of the thump sounds. Then again a second bark happened about 50 feet again to the left of the first sound. And as I listened, there was no sounds of the foliage moving or leaves being rustled. The second vocalization was in January of 2017. I had stopped in the same area again. There was snow in the area at the time. Just before I was to record the woods, which I made a habit of doing, there was a loud roar, sounded angry, from behind me and across the highway. I turned and I watched the woods and saw nothing. There was a coworker who was sitting in my truck, asked what the loud noise was, as he had heard it also. I couldn't say what it was, but I had a good idea. No animals, I believe, can roar like that with that much volume, and the sound was so loud that it echoed in the mountain river valley in that area.
When I was 11 years old, I was out on the lake with my brother, who was 9, and we were just mucking around at the end of the lake. We were actually digging out water lily roots. I was sitting in the boat, and my brother was diving in the lake. It was relatively shallow there. It was a bit swampy, and my brother had come up to the side of the boat, and behind him, in the swamp, deep in the bush, we heard this sound. It was the loudest yell I've ever heard. It sounded like a really, really big person. It almost had a female tone to it, but the problem is there were no people there. We were in a place that you could only fly into in an airplane. There was no roads, there were no trails, there was no other way to get in there, and we were the only people there. Me, my brother, my dad, my older brother, and they were almost 3 miles away. Where we were playing on the lake was 2 3/4 miles from the place where we lived. And it scared hell out of us. I remember my brother jumping in the boat as fast as he could, and I was just cranking on the motor trying to get it running, and I couldn't get it started because I was panicked and scared. He started rowing, and we were probably a half a mile down the lake before I got the motor running again. I'd never heard anything like it. And I lived in the bush my whole life. I knew then most of the animals. I'm in my 50s now, and I guarantee you I know all the animals that live in the bush here. I've seen and heard them all. this winter, I'm walking on the property behind my cabin. There's one river and probably 60 miles between where I am now and where I was then. I heard this yell, this long call. And like you do when you hear a sound in the bush, or like I do when I hear a sound in the bush, I tried to identify it, to file it away. Oh, it's this or it's that. And I realized by the end of this call, I had no place to file this. I couldn't identify it. And then I realized this is the same sound that I heard when I was a kid, almost 50 years ago.
This summer, as Keegan, Trev, and myself go out on our trek, we'll have sound devices to record and hopefully capture any of these vocalizations or noises that we run across. And we're also planning on having a variety of small musical instruments with us and, quote, play with them around the campfire at night. Our hope is the music will pique their curiosity and not drive them away. And we hope that they are tolerant of inexperienced musicians. Come along and join us on our trek or our concert. Not sure which one's going to be better. See you guys. Until next time. Bear with me. Literally, I just picked this up. I had it in the garage. Haven't played it really to any extent in the past 15 years. Probably more like I didn't really play it much since college. But just outside and hearing the 7 o'clock. Thank you to all the health workers. I thought I would pick it up. I'm going to apologize, this is only my third time playing through it after not reading music for such a long time. Here we go. See what happens. Keep working at it. I'll get it better. But thank you, all the workers. Take care. Be safe.